Black perspectives haven't always been centered in the telling of America's story. Now, we're taking center stage. Introducing NPR's Black Stories, Black Truths, a collection of Black-led stories from NPR's podcasts. Search NPR Black Stories, Black Truths wherever you get your podcasts.
District 87 has seen enrollment decrease about 10% over the past decade. Today, roughly 4,900 students attend the Bloomington schools. But during that same period, the number of English language learners within the district has grown from 7 to 11%. Currently, that's about 550 students. This spring, the District 87 School Board adopted a new curriculum to better serve older students in that demographic. About half the district's English language learners are in Bloomington High School or Bloomington Junior High. District 87 Multilingual Programs Director Kim Tabor tells WGLT correspondent Michelle Steinbacher the new 3D English program is a response to a growing number of multilingual students in grades 6 through 12.
Back in 2016 at the high school, I think we had 35 English learners. This year we have over 100, so a lot of growth.
Among the entire group of 550, have you seen an increase across the board, or is it specifically in these older students?
Mm-hmm. It's definitely across the board, but I would say secondary has been more rapidly growing.
And do you expect that trend to continue?
I would say at this point, there's no reason to not expect it to continue. I would say that we'll continue to see more students coming and joining us who are multilingual.
The new programs target 6th through 12th graders. Could you just give us a little overview of what just happened?
So what we did this year that was new is we have separated our English language development classes to have what would be considered more of like a traditional English language development class for students who are newer to English. And then we also have classes that are very similar. It's the same curriculum and materials as our Lit and Comp classes, but with a person who is both English language arts certified and also specialized in English language development. So the students can learn the same content as their peers and they get the additional supports that they might need.
How had it been different before?
So we have students who are brand new to the country, newcomers. We have students who have been with us since pre-K and are continuing to grow and develop in their language. And before we had all of our students in the same classes, and it was really hard to meet their needs because the language development needs of someone who's new to English is different than the language development needs of someone who has been growing in their English for quite a while. So by splitting the classes into these new classes, we were able to better meet the needs of our students, but that meant we also needed to look for materials that were going to help us better meet those needs.
Why did District 87's multilingual program decide to propose this?
It really aligned very similarly with a lot of the themes that our teachers had created. And so this curriculum is going to provide them additional resources to really be able to meet students' needs at their English language levels in all content areas, which is one of our goals, is that they can grow in all content areas for their English. For our students who have been developing English for longer, they're in basically an English language development supported Lit and Comp class.
What are some of the extra challenges that the district might need to meet for the student population?
I think one of the challenges for a student who is learning English and content at the same time is really just that. You know, when they're in a math class, they're learning math and they're learning the language of math. And when they're in science, they're learning science content and the language, and they're responsible to know all of it. That can be a lot of pressure and a lot of stress for students. So we try to find ways to support them in those classes in different ways. For example, we've got a pretty cool setting going on in one of our history classes. We've got a history teacher in there and a bilingual teacher. We have students who speak Spanish and students who speak Russian and Uzbek. And so the teachers are working to teach them history and also help them grow in their English at the same time.
So the school board approved these changes at its January meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens now?
So the materials just came in this week. Now we'll start looking through those materials. We'll do some training. Our teachers have been piloting and trying out some of the components. And then starting next year, we'll really be able to have a full implementation and full knowledge of all the wonderful inner workings of the program.
Have you heard any feedback from the teaching staff about this new program?
They're very excited for it. It's always nice when we have good quality resources that we can present to the students, and they are really excited to take this and be able to have these components to move forward with their teaching.
If you have a sixth grader who's a newcomer to English, perhaps their family also is a newcomer to English. So how do you communicate with those families?
We've put a lot of supports into place for families. So a couple different things. One is that we partner with Heartland Community College to offer English classes for parents, for adults in the evenings at Irving. And we provide childcare so they can bring their kids along and they can get tutoring and support, and their parents can be learning English. So that's one way that we're helping our families in developing English. But we also know how important family communication is. We have a district interpreter for Spanish, and so she will support staff who don't speak Spanish in reaching out with our Spanish-speaking families. And then we've provided a variety of resources for our staff. For example, if they need to reach a family in Uzbek, we have some different translation supports available. I mean, the technology has evolved so much really just in the past couple of years, that we have a lot more ways that we can connect with families in their home language than we did in the past. Even this year, we've acquired a new program in which we can send text messages out to families, and it goes into the language of the phone. So whatever language the family has their phone set to is the language they'll receive the message in. Same with email. So we're trying to really make sure that what we're sharing with families is being able to be understood by as many families as possible.
The new 3D English curriculum is for Bloomington High School and junior high students. But Kim Tabor says the district also recently updated materials and programming for its pre-K through 5th graders. District 87 is home to 6 elementary schools, plus the Sarah Raymond Early Education Center. The English Language Development Program is available at every building. There's also a dual language program available to some Spanish-speaking students. That runs pre-K through 8th grade. Lessons begin almost entirely in Spanish, then shift to include English. This dual language option is for bilingual graduates. Spanish is the most common language other than English in District 87 homes, but more than 40 languages are spoken among district families. Kim Tabor spoke with WGLT correspondent Michelle Steinbacher.